What up, guys? It's Dr. Vic. You are listening to another episode here on the Mindful Experiment. As each week I come out, share something, some concept, some tip, some piece of advice, something to help you level up in your life, something to raise your consciousness and your vibration to really create some deep, true transformation, not some superficial level. I'm always trying to go one step deeper every single time. In this episode, I've talked about this concept before on the podcast. I've done it in my books. I've talked about it on podcasts that I've been interviewed and so much more. And I thought this is a great way to look at your life and how to create transformation, right? The Mindful Experiment podcast is all about the mind, all about mindset, every universal perspective that relates to the mind or one's life, and how we can go from a place from mind that can transform all aspects of our life. So that's why you ever notice in the interviews I have and people that come on, they're vast different backgrounds, right? It's not just one specific. I try to be as broad as I can when it comes to selecting and choosing and allowing on the podcast. So we have a diverse amount of people that we can ask questions, interview, dive deeper, and so much more. In this episode, though, I want to get to something that you've experienced before. I've talked about this before, and I thought this would be crucial during these times, and that is creating your own reality, okay? It's a real simple process. It's something that you can practice, you can do. You've been doing it. You've seen it happen. You just don't know sometimes. I know when I was first getting exposed to this, learning the neurology behind it, the functional aspect, functional neurology to this, and other aspects of life to kind of tie in. I like to see patterns into things. I just don't like to see, oh, this is it, and that's how it works for this, and that's only this. I've learned over time that in spiritual world and the universal laws, if it's in one, it's in all. And all is in one and one is in all. And it's crazy how much that is interconnected and interrelated in so many different ways. So when it comes to this one aspect of your mind, I want you to understand something called the RAS. Now, if you've taken my online courses before, you already know how to do this. You know how to work it. You know how to program. You know how to change it. You know how to shift it. If you haven't, what are you waiting for? Come on, jump on. We're actually revamping ours right now, but we will be launching some brand new stuff coming out in the fall that is going to be monumentally way more in depth than we ever had before. We've been working on videos, consulting, creating different things to help really branch out and really help create. And I know I've been saying this on and off on the podcast if you've been listening to me for a while, but it's something that I wanted to make sure when I do it, I do things right and I do it the way that I feel good with it, that I know it's going to get some result in some way, shape, or form. I'm very result oriented in everything I do. But the RAS is known as the reticular activating system. Now, this is a part in your brain that is the ultimate filter. Okay. This is why, if you were ever curious, why is it that you can have 100 people line up, all have an event, and they all have a reaction that's different to that event? Or kids grow up in the same environment, same stressors, same everything, and they all have different things that they have to work through. That's vastly different from one to another. That was all the same experience. RAS. The RAS is a universal filter to your life. It is what filters information out and only allows what you value in. Hence, pay attention to that last thing I just said. The RAS, the reticular activating system, is a master filter that filters all information out except what you value. Now, I teach this. This is what I dedicate. And it's funny how I hear a lot of more self-improvement people talking about it now. Personal development space has been talking a lot about it now. And I'm like, interesting. They're catching on. But the reticular activating system is just that. It is what you value. It's what you dictate that you value, what you put your energy to, what you focus to, what you find important is what's going to be filtered through and what you're going to capture. Okay. This is why when a bad event happens, like COVID, for example, some people may look and go, oh my God, this is horrible. People are dying. This is happening. Businesses are failing. They're not coming back. This is such a shame. Why are you focused there? It's because that's important to you. It's important maybe to see failure or to see negative or to see XYZ. Who knows? I'm not one to break that down, but there's something there, right? Where myself, I know that I saw it coming and I said, there's going to be a silver lining out of this. Because what do I value? I value, and I've seen over and over again, there's always, 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 always a silver lining to all things. There's always a positive to all things, no matter how dark it is. I wrote a whole book on this called The Walk in the Dark. And so I learned over time that I was like, there's got to be something positive. There will be something positive. You just got to shift your perspective, shift your RAS, right, to see something different, and it'll happen. And the people I've been coaching and working with before COVID, right at COVID, during COVID, who started with me during COVID and so forth, they've been thriving a lot. I'm not going to say it's always been beautiful. They got to go through their hardships to get to that level. It's not that you just go up. I was this way too, where I think everything just goes up, right? That's just how it should be. That doesn't work that way. You got to have your downs to get higher ups, and you test your downs and you go higher up. It's like a stock. And so what I've learned over time is that these principles, these concepts are things that can truly, I utilize with my clients, and we've seen massive growth. It's been awesome. And it's still consistently moving. Why? Framework, mindset first. Shift the lens of the mind, and all of a sudden you'll see things differently, and you'll see what you value more of what you want. And so RAS is all about filtration. It's all about taking information out that you don't care about and only allowing in what you do. And I said, again, it's what you value, okay? Change your values, you change what you have. Now, that's all great. Cool concept. You learned something new. But I want to add one more thing to that. Right. So when it comes to RAS, you got to understand, well, Doc, I don't know. You're saying this, but I don't live that way, or I don't pay attention to this, or I'm this type of person, or I'm a Mr. Positive or Mrs. Positive. We have to understand that to understand your values, you got to look at what you spend your most time at. Because what you're giving your most attention to is what you value the most. Because time is going to be that thing. It's like put your money where your mouth is. Yeah, you can say all these things, but put your money where your mouth is. Let's see what's up now. And that's what time does. Where you dedicate your time is what's going to create that to show your values, what you have more energy to. Because there's a principle. What you value, you always have time for. Write that down, make it a mantra. What you value, you always have time for. Just as what you value, you always have money for. You're always willing to spend. You'll never not spend. So those are two principles that go back and forth on each other. So when you look at your life, take a moment, do a self-inventory, be brutally honest. The more honest you and hard you are with yourself, the better you're going to really come out of this knowing what your values are to create that life, what matters most to you. Like, for example, what are my highest values? Number one, health. It's everything that I want to know about health. I learned every fabric of health, not only just for myself, but also for my patients and other individuals. I want to learn and become the best I possibly can be with my health so I can thrive and do the best that I possibly can for myself. Yeah, selfish reason. But at the same token, then I can pass that information down to patients and help them with whatever may be showing up. And this is why over 10, 11 years, 12 years now, I have such a vast, diverse understanding of health, holistic health, and so forth. You understand, I'm self-taught nutritionally for over 21 years. And then when I got into chiropractic school, it all made sense to what was good, what isn't, how to look at it, and so much more. So you understand there's been a building process to all this over time, but it's what I value. I also value money. I didn't have a lot of money growing up. So sometimes you value things as what's in the void. And I'll talk about this on another podcast. So your value system gets determined by that. I grew up with not a lot of money. And so it was one of those things where I wanted to have that. I wanted to have that lifestyle because I wanted to have, it was more the freedom. It was the emotional component of it. It's not about having a gazillion money. That doesn't mean anything for me. It's the emotional freedom that comes with it, the choices I can make. If I want to have an experience, I'm not held back. I can do it. And that's what matters most to me. And there's other factors too. And there's other things that helping people is one of my highest services. Well, how do I do that? Well, X, Y, Z. So you know your values and you look what's around you. I like learning. I have right here, I have at my desk, I have about 10, 12 books just sitting there. Things that what I'm ready to read, what I'm going to read. I'm always researching, right? I have sites that are bookmarked so I can research stuff immediately. I have networks of friends and groups that I look at researching and learning. Again, relating to health and other fabrics of life, spirituality, and so forth. Because I want to become, that's a value to me. I can constantly read things. I'm always looking at learning something new. Never get bored of it because that's a value to me. Now, that may not be a value to you, but it's a value to me. And I always have time to do that. So it's one of those things that really take perspective. Look at where you're spending most of your time and then understanding that, then you're starting to create a filtration system in your life to the RAS to pay attention to. And once you train that RAS a certain way, that's what it's going to be. You've done this before. You can do it again. It's just learning how to use it in different ways. Because when you bought that new car, why was it that you saw it all over the place? Or if you're a woman and you got pregnant, why all of a sudden was pregnancy stuff popping up all over the place? You were noticing pregnancies and so much more. Or when you had your first child, why were you starting to notice all the children around and so much more? Value, 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 value. So check that out. That's what I got for you guys today. Any questions, any comments, please let me know. Always here to help support. But until next time, I will see y'all next week.